Cam Ward will have the best rookie season ever for a Tennessee Titan. And I'll tell you what numbers he's got to put up to do it on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland, Titans fans. On today's show, we're going to look at some Tennessee Titans projections. How many yards is Cam Ward projected to throw for? How many touchdowns? I'm going to tell you whether I think he goes over or under. Also, we're going to look at Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, their projections on offense. I'll say whether I think they do more or less than those numbers. We'll look at defense as well. But first, again, we are going to start with Cam Ward, and I think that he has the best rookie season in Tennessee Titans history. I'm going to tell you how many yards I think he throws for, how many touchdowns, all of that. Before we get into it, do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day here on the Locked On Titans podcast. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one. It may be the off season, but there is no off season here on Locked On Titans. The Titans have practice later this week. I'm going to be breaking that down. Rookie mini camps right around the corner, and before you know it, it'll be training camp. So make sure that you stay locked in to the Locked On Titans podcast. But with that being said, again, I think that Cam Ward has the best rookie season in Tennessee Titans history, and quite frankly, I don't think that he has to do a lot to be able to accomplish it, at least by the numbers. Now, if you don't want to look by the numbers and you just want to, well, all of these players had good numbers, but you just want to look at who won Rookie of the Year in Tennessee Titans Houston Oilers history, Earl Campbell and Robert Brazil on for the Oilers way back when. And then Eddie George and Javon Curse for the Titans in the late 90s. And then Vince Young. And Vince Young was the last player to win it for the Titans after having an awesome rookie season. To this day, I will defend Vince Young. It's not his fault. He should have been Cam Newton before Cam Newton, but the Titans didn't support him properly. I know a lot of you guys feel like that about Marcus, but I'll die on that hill with Vince Young. So hate if you want. I'm not listening. But with that in mind, if Cam Ward were to win Rookie of the Year, he immediately puts himself in a group in this franchise where you can have the conversation about best rookie season of all time. Because again, there's only 5 people, and 2 of them were from way back when, old-time Oilers, which, you know, the Oilers, that is the franchise history, but at the end of the day, I never experienced the Houston Oilers as a football fan, so it's hard for me to, include that in the conversation of guys that I've just never seen and never experienced. Feels totally different. So really for me, you got Eddie, you got Vince, you got Javon Curse. Cam Ward wins Rookie of the Year. That means he had a great year. The Titans won some games. He's automatically in the discussion to be the best rookie in Tennessee Titans franchise history. But then if he breaks the record. So let's talk about some of these numbers. Franchise record for most passing yards by a rookie in a season. Warren Moon, 3,300 yards, 3,338 yards. Touchdowns in a rookie season is Marcus Mariota, 19. Most yards in a single game, Marcus Mariota, 371 as a rookie. Most touchdowns thrown in a single game as a rookie is Marcus and Will Levis with 4. If Cam Ward comes out and throws 4 touchdowns in his debut, run for the hills, folks. That's how we'll know. Completion percentage for a rookie, the record is 62.2%. I think Cam Ward beats all of those personally. I think Cam Ward goes over on all of those, quite honestly. I think that Cam Ward throws for 3,700 yards. I think that Cam Ward throws for 22 passing touchdowns, 25 touchdowns overall, so 3 rushing touchdowns. I'll make it 2 rushing touchdowns and a receiving. Just joking. 25 total touchdowns. He did it in college on the Cam Ward special, okay? I think he throws 11 interceptions. I think that is an area where we're going to look back and be like, hey, you know, he's got to move a little bit quicker. There were some decision-making, calibration, some of the things that got him in college, which he had a very low interception total last year in Miami. It's not like he's throwing a ton of picks, but the NFL is a totally different beast, and I think dealing with the Titans' weapons, not being open often, Cam Ward's knack for playmaking, trying to make something happen, I think 11 interceptions. He had 25 total touchdowns and 11 interceptions. That's great. I think he's going to complete 65% of his passes. I think Brian Callahan is going to go out of his way to make sure that he can get easy passes for Cam Ward. And think about the incorporation of the RPO game. Think about the incorporation of the quick screen game, which Cam Ward was so good at in college. Not only because he just has an understanding and a good feel for it, but the arm angles and the quick release. Just, it really lends itself to Cam Ward being great in the quick passing game. So I think he's going to complete a good amount of his passes. 65% is what I'm going to go with. So he's going to break the record for completion percentage for a rookie for the Tennessee Titans. Then you look at the passing touchdowns, 22. Again, that's 3 more than what Marcus did his rookie year. It's kind of sad that it's not even 20. But Cam Ward is going to break that this year. Cam Ward is going to throw for at least 20 touchdowns. Like, I refuse to believe otherwise. I refuse to believe it. And then the yards. Whether it's fair or not, I don't really care. But 3,300 yards by Warren Moon forever ago is just crazy to consider. That record hasn't been broken by a Titans rookie at any point in time. That is crazy low. But again, the Titans have never had a 4,000-yard passer in franchise history. So why should I be shocked that if a rookie breaks this record, he's going to be near the top of the list for passing yard seasons in Tennessee Titans history. So definitely, if Cam Ward throws for 3,400 yards or more, we're talking about an all-time Tennessee Titans quarterback season just in nature. Not even just a rookie, just in general. So, for me, the Titans go 7-10. Great season from having the number 1 pick last year. Cam Ward throws for 3,700 yards. Remember, 18 weeks, 17 games now, so an extra game. I think that's going to allow Cam Ward to get the job done. 22 passing touchdowns, 25 total touchdowns, so 3 rushing. 11 interceptions as he begins to calibrate. 65% completion percentage. He wins Rookie of the Year, and it's the greatest rookie season in Tennessee Titans franchise history. And honestly, I don't even think that it's all that crazy. We're going to talk projections on the offensive side of the ball and on the defensive side of the ball to end the show. But Mike Clay from ESPN, whose projections we're going to go off of here, he has Cam Newton. I got that on my brain because he's the last number 1 pick that didn't get a primetime game their rookie season. And I said Vince Young should have been Cam Newton. So a lot of Cam Newton on my brain right now. But Mike Clay has Cam Ward only playing 15 games because he subtracts 2 games from everybody for injury reasons. It's just the NFL. And he has Cam Ward throwing for 3,382 yards. He would break the record. He has Cam Ward throwing for 20 touchdowns. He would break the record. So, if Mike Clay from ESPN, who's an analytics guy, if his general projections, which are awful for the Titans across the board generally, if even his projections that are so low on the Titans have Cam Ward breaking some of these records, who am I to bet against it? So I think Cam Ward has the best rookie season in Tennessee Titans franchise history, and I don't really think that he has to go crazy to do it. That's just the weak history of Tennessee Titans quarterback play. That's just the reality. So, yeah, I'm putting my money on Cam Ward for all of those. But if Cam Ward has a good year, that means that there are going to be some other people on the offense that have a good year, and I think there's quite a few players who go over their projections. I'll tell you who they are. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Me personally, I'm back in the Knicks. My Lakers are out, so go New York Knicks. I'm going to be backing Jalen Brunson on the over. I'm going to be backing Karl Anthony Towns on the over on threes. I'm going to be betting the money line of the Knicks. And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. You can head to FanDuel.com right now and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We talked about Cam Ward. I think he's going to be the best rookie in Tennessee Titans history. I think he's going to smash the records this year. I think it's a combination, of course, of offense nowadays, but also Cam Ward's game. I just think he's going to be a great player. Now, we need to talk about the rest of the offense, though. Who would Cam Ward be throwing to? Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, running the ball, all of that. And the number one player that I want to focus on here is Calvin Ridley. So Mike Clay from ESPN, analytics guy. He does his projections every single year, all of that. Let me say this about the projections. I am not here to tell you that the projections are 100% correct and they're going to be great. It's just a great spot for us to start a conversation. Like, it's just a good thing to look at and say over or under for different Tennessee Titans stuff. So I'm not trying to act like Mike Clay's projections are so all-knowing, blah, 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 but it's just a great place for us to have these conversations. So, with Calvin Ridley, Mike Clay has Calvin Ridley with 62 catches for 970 yards and 6 touchdowns. And I'm sorry, but if Cam Ward throws for 3,300 yards like Mike Clay has him projected for, then Calvin Ridley is going over 1,000. Because Calvin Ridley went over 1,000 yards last year with maybe the worst starting quarterback play in the entire NFL. There is an argument to be made that the Titans quarterback room, which gave them 22 touchdowns and 21 interceptions, there's an argument to be made that's the worst quarterback play that any team got in the entire NFL all season. And with the mind-numbing, boneheaded turnovers that Will Levis has, I think it's easy to make that argument, quite frankly. So if you're telling me that Cam Ward comes in and vastly improves the Tennessee Titans quarterback play, that Calvin Ridley isn't going to go for 1,000 yards, like, I just refuse to believe it. I absolutely refuse. So 970, no way, man. Calvin Ridley is going to go over 1,000 yards this year. I think Calvin Ridley has 10 more catches. And I think that Calvin Ridley has nearly 200 more yards. I'm going to go 72 catches, 1,100 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns. I do agree on the touchdowns. I think that's right. So I like Calvin Ridley at those numbers. 72 catches, 1,100 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. Is Calvin Ridley a bona fide number one wide receiver in the NFL? No, I don't think he is, in my opinion. I don't think so. But I do think he is a very high-level number 2. And I think with Cam Ward, a high-level number 2 can do some serious damage. So I like Calvin Ridley over 1,000. Let me know how you guys feel about that. But when we move to the next player, and Tyler Lockett right now is the Titans wide receiver 2. Mike Clay has him with 43 catches, 463 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Quite frankly, I'm not even going to go over or under or any of that. I think that's just right. I think that Lockett has 40 catches, 400 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. Maybe it's this or that. Maybe it's not 460. It's, 420. Maybe it's not, 43 catches. Maybe it's 39. Maybe it's not 3 touchdowns. Maybe it's 2. I don't know, but I don't feel strongly about those projections to tell you less or more. I think that's exactly where Tyler Lockett should be. But I think that a wide receiver will do better than him. I don't think that he will be the second most productive wide receiver on the team. And that's why we need to look at Alec Iomaner's projections. Projected for 20 catches, 237 yards, and 1 touchdown. I would double that. I think that Iomaner is, and again, I've continued to make this bet on Io. I think that Iomaner is in the 40 to 50 catch, 400 to 500 yards, 3 to 4 touchdown range. I have continued to make this argument. It makes the most sense. His skill set combined with the skill set that the Titans don't really have makes him a perfect person to say, hey, he's going to have a lot more production early on than maybe people think. The Titans just don't have anybody at that size with that smoothness. I mean, Van Jefferson is the closest thing they have. But if you're going to play Van Jefferson or you're going to play Alec Iomanor, which one deserves more snaps if it's equal? And it's clearly the rookie. So something about Iomanor, man, I just have a feeling he's going to make a major impact. I have a feeling he's going to be a top 3 wide receiver in production for the Titans. And if things go the way I think they might go, I think Iomanor could be a guy who's very similar to Tyler Lockett in terms of production and could even end up just a little bit above and be the Titans' second most productive wide receiver. Now, Mike Clay has Chim Dike having better stats this year than Alec Iomanor. 23 catches, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't think that that's bad for DK. I think he can kind of get moved around in the offense. But I'm going to take Iomanor as a guy who's more productive. Funny to me, though, he has Treylon Burks with 6 catches for 83 yards. I'm going to put those at 0. I can't even talk about Burks without getting a little salty. You hear that? I can barely speak. I don't think that Treylon Burks is on the Titans roster come week 1, whether it be injury, whether it be they just cut him outright. I don't buy it. But do want to talk about the tight ends because Mike Clay has Chigakonkwo and Josh Whyle as more productive than Gunnar Helm. And I get Helm as a rookie, but there's no way that Josh Whyle, outside of injury, of course, there is no way that Josh Whyle has more catches and more yards than Gunnar Helm this year. He has Chigakonkwo at 55 catches for 560 yards, Josh Whyle at 19 for 180, and then Gunnar Helm at 15 for 150. And quite honestly, I would take Chig down by 150 yards and 15 catches. I would take Whyle down by about 10 catches and by about 80 yards, and then I would put Gunnar Helm up. I think Gunnar Helm is going to have 30 to 40 catches and 300 to 400 yards and probably 2 or 3 touchdowns. I have said it. I said it during the draft. I'll say it again right now. Gunnar Helm's going to be tight end 1 this year. I think when you look back, the most snaps, the most production, I think Gunnar Helm's going to be tight end 1 this year. So I think for the projections, I would go under on the Chig and the Whyle, and I would go over on the Helm. Now, we look at running back. That's the last thing I want to look at before we go to defense. And Tony Pollard right now, not projected by Mike Clay to hit 1,000 yards, 942 rushing yards, 5 rushing touchdowns. The rushing touchdowns I think could be fine, but I honestly think Tony Pollard goes lower. I think Tony Pollard breaks down quite a bit this year. I hate to, I'm not wishing it to happen. I would rather be wrong. But after what I saw from Tony Pollard at the end of the year last year, where he really wore down physically because of the carry load that he had to take, I just think he's approaching 30. He had a lot of workload last year for a guy who should be a committee back. I think the Titans had to misuse Tony Pollard last year because of the situation they were in, but I think that takes a toll. I think it takes an effect. I think Tony Pollard plays less than 14 games this year. I think he plays about 12 games. I think he has about 800 rushing yards, maybe 700 to 800 rushing yards. I think Tajay Spears right now is projected for 489, according to Mike Clay. I think Spears is going to have more than that, but really, I think Khalil Mullings, who is projected for 8 carries for 37 yards or something like that. I think that Khalil Mullings is going to have a lot more carries than 8. I think Mullings is going to carry the ball about 50 to 40 times and really balance out that Tony Pollard miss. So Spears, I think, could go up a little bit to over 500. Again, he's at 489 right now. I honestly think that's pretty good, maybe a little more, but I think it's Mullings that goes over. Mullings has about 200 to 300 yards, and I think that kind of is where Tony Pollard gets brought down. But let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. We got to talk about sacks and what T'Vondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons will do this year. fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We talked about Cam Ward and becoming the best Titans rookie in franchise history. We talked about whether I would go over or under on some of the projections on offense. Again, excited to hear what you guys have to say about those over-unders as well. But now I want to move to the defensive side of the ball because things look pretty ugly over there. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, before we get into it, I do want to thank you again for making Locked On Titans your first listen. Again, the Titans have practice later in the week. You're going to want to make sure that you're up to date on everything that happens, understand what happens going forward, and I'm going to have all that for you guys on the Locked On Titans podcast. But for your second listen, make sure that you check out Locked On NFL Scouting. The NFL draft is over, but the roster moves and news, those Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino will make you the most informed NFL fan this offseason. Find Locked On NFL Scouting on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. But looking at the defensive side of the ball, I got to start with the D-line because that is obviously the one that I'm watching the most, okay? Because the Titans must improve at the D-line, but if things go the way that Mike Clay has them going here, not much improvement. Jeffrey Simmons' sack total set at 5.7, so that's like an average. If Jeffrey Simmons only gets 6 sacks, big-time failure. And, the conversation about trading Jeffrey Simmons got a little louder this offseason because the Titans are clearly at the beginning of a rebuild, and it's fair to wonder whether Jeffrey Simmons will be the player that they need him to be. It could be a Jarrell Casey situation, where by the time that the Titans are good again, Jarrell Casey has taken a step back, and he's a franchise legend, but it's you're not the player you once were. The Titans might be in a spot where Jeffrey Simmons, even though interior defensive linemen do age pretty well in the NFL, it's fair to wonder. So if Jeffrey Simmons plays all year and doesn't miss time and only ends up with 5 to 6 sacks, major disappointment for Jeffrey Simmons. And they would seriously, which sucks because you would be looking to trade him when he probably has the least amount of value he's had in the last few years. T'Vondre Sweat, though, 2.4 sacks. I got to tell you, maybe my expectations are too low. But if T'Vondre Sweat ended up with 2 or 3 sacks, that would be a great year for the nose tackle. That would be a great year. T'Vondre Sweat, going back to his college tape, has had a significant issue with finishing sacks. He just gets in the backfield, gets pressure, but cannot get the quarterback. He misses the sack. He did it quite a bit at Texas. He did it a couple of times last year. If he can capitalize on a couple of those and get 2 or 3 sacks this year, I know that sounds really low, but for T'Vondre Sweat, what do you think the average sack number is going to be when he's a veteran and the player that he is? I'm not expecting 7 to 8 sacks a year like we are getting from Jeffrey Simmons when he's healthy. I'm expecting less than 5 every year. He's a nose tackle. That's part of the reason I didn't love the pick and the value there, but that is the reality, so I'm not just going to change the expectations that I would have for that position now just because the Titans drafted a player a little bit higher than I thought they might go. So I would be happy with 2 to 3 sacks from T'Vondre Sweat. It's everybody else that needs to be better. We can't have 5 to 6 sacks from Jeffrey Simmons. But speaking of that, my expectations could not be lower for the edge group. And Mike Clay has Arden Key with 7.9 sacks, so 7 to 8. Draymond Jones with 5.3. Lorenzo Carter with 1, which would be a huge improvement for Lorenzo Carter. And Femi with 2.6. But here's where I really object to these projections, because I actually agree. About 8 sacks for Arden Key, about 5 sacks for Draymond Jones, about 3 sacks for Femi, 1 for Lorenzo Carter. That sounds about right to me. The Titans have a terrible edge rush group. It's awful. So I don't think that it's going to be that great or much better than that. But where I really object is the snap counts. Mike Clay has Arden Key at 800, Draymond Jones at 600, and then Lorenzo Carter and Femi both at 300. Femi Oladipo should not be playing the same amount of snaps as Lorenzo Carter. I mean, early in the year, when Femi is adjusting still and he's a project player and all that, then great. But by the end of the season, Femi Oladipo should be playing every snap that Lorenzo Carter would be playing. There's no reason for Femi to not play over Lorenzo Carter. They're both big physical edge rushers who can set the edge. You're looking for Femi Oladipo to improve in his pass rush technique, then give him opportunities. There's no reason by the end of the year that Femi should be playing behind Lorenzo Carter. And if they finish the year both healthy with the same amount of snaps, that's a travesty for Femi Oladejo's development. This is a rebuilding team. This isn't a win-now team. You need to prioritize the development of the rookies, even if Femi Oladejo isn't as good of a player as maybe Draymond Jones is right now as a pass rusher, or maybe Lorenzo Carter is as an early down edge setter. Play Femi. Let him develop. Let him get experience. Cody Barton getting over 100 tackles. Love that. I'm with that. But Mike Clay has the second most played linebackers, James Williams, which again, out of the young linebackers, James Williams, Otis Reese, Cedric Gray. I guess we could add David Benda in there, the undrafted free agent from Texas. The Titans just picked up, I think it's Alexander Orgery from the Patriots, the linebacker. So maybe we could add other guys into that mix when we say young linebackers. But out of the three that we focused on coming into the year, James Williams has been my bet all along to take that linebacker spot next to Cody Barton. That's who I would bet on. So I agree with Mike Clay on that one. The only other thing I want to mention here is in the secondary, they have L'Jarius Sneed having over 1,000 snaps. If L'Jarius Sneed plays over 1,000 snaps, well, the Titans finally got their money's worth. That's all I have to say about that. There's no way that L'Jarius Sneed is playing as many snaps as Amani Hooker this year. That's just not happening. And then they have Mason Kinsey as the punt returner. Mason Kinsey's not making this roster. So come on, Mike Clay. Got to be better than that. But overall, a lot of these projections, it's maybe not great for the content for me to say it, but like, I actually agree with a lot of these projections. A lot of these projections I think are pretty close to where I expect these players to be. But Cam Ward, again, I think he's going to have a great rookie season. I think even if the Titans don't make the playoffs and this and that, Cam Ward still has a chance to have the best rookie season in franchise history. And I think that'll include some of these younger players and Calvin Ridley doing a little bit better than maybe some of these projections expect. The defense, though, hard for me to argue with just about any of this other than to say wouldn't be great for the Titans if the edge rushers only have 18 sacks and Jeffrey Simmons only has 5. Not going to be good. Not a great outcome right there. But with that being said, that is going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.